Hello, welcome once again to Frank's Project Pause. And like we've always been doing, we do appreciate your input, your comments, your suggestions. We have received them and we are putting them into good use. And we can assure you that subsequent ones are going to be even bigger and better. Thank you so much for your input and efforts. And we are building this together. We are here once again to continue our discussion, and like we've always done, over here we do provide the needed education, information, and all the pointers that you may need in order to advance the course of your project management journey. Whether you are a student, you are a new entrant into the project management space, or you are an experienced professional who needs some refreshment in terms of practical insights into issues, this is your right place, Frank's Project Pause. Let me remind you once again that this session is coming to you live by kind courtesy of Certified Projects Avenue Limited, and we are coming to you also from the studios of Eagle Eye Projects and Events at Medina. We are here this morning with an astute project professional and leader, as we always do, and I can assure you that it's going to be a very, very insightful and engaging session. I'm going to mention his name, then he would go ahead to tell us a little bit about himself. And you would also join us by subscribing to our channel, Frank's Project Pause, liking our videos and commenting, also sharing your insights, and share the link with your friends and colleagues so that we can all continue with the conversation online. This morning, we have a man who has dedicated himself to studying and applying the profession and the principles of project management in the technology space. And he is going to take us through a very smooth journey. On this note, I call on Mr. Jacob Ennin to tell us more about himself. Welcome, Jacob.
Thank you so much, Frank. It's absolutely very grateful that I'm here this morning and having me here. Like you said, I'm Jacob Ennin. Very simple, very simple. I come in very simple, very simple. I say very simple. So my journey started from Catholic University, BSc in Computer Science, and later did my second degree, master's, also in Management Information System from Coventry University in the UK. Then currently taking my PhD at University of California in USA. As it stands now, I have done a lot of work within the Ghanaian space, looking at it from the private sector to the government sector. Touched a lot of projects, the likes of GPHA, SNETS, ECG, Graphic, Controller, Fidelity Bank, Montran, a couple of them graphics, quite many, and outside Ghana, done something in Sierra Leone, Freetown, just to mention a few of the portfolios that I've actually interfaced with. And I am here as Jacob, and I've transitioned through life by grace. It's just been grace through the transformation that I find myself. What really drives me in some of these determination happens to be for God and country, how we can make our country better and innovate ourselves to make sure that our community becomes like the developed countries that we see. So primarily, this is what keeps me going, and this is Jacob for you.
Wow, yeah. Interesting. Jacob, you did mention your certifications that you have, marrying project management and technology. Can you share light on a bit of the certifications that you have that helps you undertake these projects that you have undertaken?
Absolutely, Frank. When it comes to my certifications, I have about 20 plus Oracle certification that cuts across support implementation of the systems and project management professional, also from Oracle. Oracle calls it the Oracle Cloud Project Management Professional Practitioner, and I have that as well, and also have the Oracle Cloud infrastructure specialist and a solution architect. So virtually, I'm a simple guy with multidisciplinary within the technology space. And when you look at it from the core foundation of the PMI body, I also have a certificate. I'm certified within the PMI fraternity. And when you look at the Oracle space in terms of its own required certification for which you will be able to be given the license to work on any implementation, it's being offered by Oracle University. It used to be through Person View, but now Oracle University has taken over, and they are largely running that particular certification within that space.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. That's a really, really tall order for anyone to want to emulate you, and I congratulate you for that. So within all these certifications and educational background in the technology and project management space, what would you say is your vision? You did mention is for God and country.
Absolutely.
But what would you want to see organizations and the whole country benefit from these expertise?
Absolutely. So, Frank, if you look at it from the narration of a country, let's first of all appreciate that a country is a company where it embodies all its resources into one repository. Once we appreciate the fact that a country is a company, then it means that we are supposed to ensure that we create a synergy between our digital drive where it unlocks the next generation of our conversation for our children to be able to actually evolve into the next level of work. And that is where technology comes in, what we'll call enterprise systems, okay, that we can take advantage of and look at it from the perspective that how do we leverage of all these information systems that is being created on daily basis? How do we even evoke the next aspect of having the digital drive conversation to ensure that we are not left behind time or even let our kids who are going to take over leave the shores of the boundaries to actually thrive in other jurisdictions.
Interesting. Simplifying the whole narrative by indicating that the country is an organization or a company.
That's correct.
And that brings it into a perspective that we can all easily digest. Now, tell me, with all the projects that you have been undertaking for various organizations, how are these projects usually selected, knowing very well that the organizations may have varied ideas or projects in mind? How do you manage to have these projects selected out of the lot?
Okay, so I'll take it in two folds. Jacob, the consultant, and Jacob, now the industry executive lead, okay, on digital transformation. So if you are happen to look at it from an organization whereby you are going as a consultant, it is for the organization's executive, top-level executive, to determine what they want to put out there based on their agreement or their drive for their growth. Then you would have to also submit your bid. So that means that in that conversation, they have predetermined what they want to achieve as a result, and then you come in with your expertise to guide and shaping them to make it materialized into realization. Now, when you are in as an executive member, also part of the top-level management within the boardroom, and you are looking at how a project can be selected, then we have certain conversations. We have the short-term realization of profits, return on investments. We also have the long-term realization of return on investment, which happens to be at the back of sustainability. So then we also have to look at the shareholders. What is their drive? What is their motivation for which they want to invest into this particular project? So, for example, we may have an organization that wants to invest in hardware equipment, let's say machineries, plant and machineries, where they can quickly turn around for operation aspect to see the revenue today. We can also have an organization that wants to actually have a massive digital transformation to look at it in the long-term point of view. And all these things will form part of what the top level would want to achieve, whether in the short term or the long-term drive. So it's not that sacrosanct to give you that it's supposed to be a jacket A or jacket B. But that is where I call the natural intelligence. Even though we appreciate artificial intelligence, natural intelligence comes in for us to deduce what we intend to achieve at the end of the tunnel, where we have actually materialized what we intend to do. And that is where normally by best practice, for us to have an agreement, we normally would call for a position paper, what we call the white paper. In the academia, they call it about research, article, journals, But in the industry, it's being known as a white paper, where you have to put a position, why you think from your expertise on your professionalism, you are actually guiding the whole executive that we should go on this particular tangent or drive.
Okay. That's very interesting. And it appears that if you go in as a consultant, you are going in by virtue of the requirements that the client might have given you, or the problem statement that might have been shared with you, that there's a problem that they want to solve. And when you are in the boardroom, beyond all that you said, what would drive the leadership of the organization to want to go a particular direction? Because there might be some existing pillars of the organization that would drive the executive to want to go a particular direction beyond the parameters that you did indicate. What other parameters could dictate these ones?
Okay, good. So every organization runs at the back of a blood, and that blood is money. So the bottom line, when I pick the balance sheets or the P&L, I look at the bottom line where, end of the day, what is my revenue? What is my profits? Now, looking at the main thing that will drive an organization to look at, there are three pillars, which I call the PPT, the people, process, and technology. It used not to have technology, but now, in the modern age of dispensation of work, job has not become a constant, but rather a variable. So in that space, we have to find a way to merge all these three things together. And that is where organization or top-level executive will determine to say that, let's have a whole transformation. Is it the people? Is it the process? Or is it the technology? So that we'll be able to unlock our potential or be able to be at the edge of competition against our customers to take the industry lead within the organization. Normally, these are the things that would actually evoke top-level executives to actually look at prioritization of a project or to drive a whole transformation based on infrastructure, based on process, based on people, mentality, mindset, and then even based on the technology that they want to use to also help us achieve this drive.
And I guess all these will stem out of the from the strategy that might have been set by the organization based on their long-term vision. Done. With all that you have done, what would you say has been in terms of the PPT that you mentioned? Which area do you see organizations focusing on the most?
Frank, it's quite interesting that in this, you can't have a pick and choose because there's one other element that has come to sit on top that I'll mention shortly. That happens to be with data. So you need all these three machineries to work together as a hub. So more like a balanced diet. If you decide to focus on people and leave the process and technology, you are shooting yourself in the foot. If you focus on people, technology, and you leave the others too, you're also shooting yourself in the foot. So what it means is that there should be a strong governance control that brings all these three pillars together and realize that data will be generated at every single second, whether nanosecond or every second, every minute there's data generated. And now it gives the executives that comfort to have a visualization, which in this dispensation we call the data analytics or data visualization, or we can even talk about business intelligence to be able to make informed decision based on that data that is being generated from the transactional level.
Right. So what you are saying is that there is no particular preference for any of the three, and that if you really want to go far as an organization or as a business, you would have to take a balance amongst the three.
All of them must work
So,
together.
how do you also assess the performance of the systems that you have implemented? And from your experience, what have been the dynamics in terms of performance of these systems that you have implemented?
Okay, Frank, I'll put it this way. When it comes to assessing the performance of system that has been implemented in the technology space, we have three different things that works together. We have the hardware, which we call the infrastructure. We have the software, and we have the network. And all these three things must also come together to give you the fuel that the people will need to be able to do what they want to do, to give us the necessary outcome. So in this three space, we may have to have a health check assessment differently with a checklist. Okay, with a checklist. And what I keep saying is that when it comes to technology, it's not an event. It's a journey. It's a continuous improvement activity. So we don't say that we've positioned a system for an organization, whether be it a blue chip, multinational organization, or even a small scale, medium organization. No. Once the system is being positioned, it actually satisfied all the predefined requirements that has been given, the business use cases and all the possible scenarios today. It doesn't make it a perfect system for tomorrow. But today it was a perfect system. So it means that health check continuous improvements must always be ongoing. That is where the support activity comes in. And that opens another conversation where we call it the development and operations, because we have one people who are actually into the business, understands the in and out of the business, but does not understand the technology. Okay. So then you bring the technology team also together from their own discipline. Both of them comes together and do what we call incubation. So they are always trying the devil's advocate as to finding loopholes or challenges in the technology, so that birth the new model of improvement. The other flip side again comes to the point whereby the people that you've trained used to go through a sequence of activity, which is logical. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to achieve a result of 6. They have also become too used to that. It's too laborious. Then you want to reduce it to, okay, if you do 1, you'll be able to automate all the other ones within to give you 5, and then you get your 6. Now you realize that there's going to be a blend between the artificial intelligence and then the natural intelligence, because start for me, be the one to initiate. I take over and go through the whole process for you, and then you confirm the final one, then you get your end result. So it reduces time, we work with speed, and then realize that the full supply chain execution is integrated to give us the benefit of what we intend to do. So what we normally position is that we go live out of the box without any deep customizations or any deep automation. Once we fully stabilize, we know how the human pattern is based on the business processes. That's the future of work. Then we come back and say that, okay, now that we understand you better, let's look at it from this way, whereby all these things in the middle, you're not going to do it. It's going to reduce the time that you are going to work, but it's going to give us expected a much more better, efficient results with integrity. We don't compromise the quality and integrity. We will know who has done what at what time, and at what point did the system also take over to complete the work for you concurrently.
Cool. Right. You've put it very, very right, and I am looking at a situation where organizations seeking to improve or get better or gain some competitive edge on the market, as they listen to you and watch this podcast on Frank's Project Pause, would you be able to recommend, if an organization today, they have the resources in terms of money enough, what would you advise them as they transition into implementing these systems for them to gain a competitive edge? What would be your advice to them?
Okay, Frank, thanks so much. One of the level advice I'll give would be that organizations have to appreciate the fact that there's a new learning where they can only win inside out. If you want to win in the customer base space, where we call it a new customer experience, you must ensure that your people experience inside, which we used to call the human employees or human capital, have been given the right mindsets, have been given the right ease of work internally, which then can be able to translate to the external people on the customer base, where the revenue will come in. So looking at all these things, you have to ensure that you get a system that can look at the human capital properly, a system that will look at a 360 view of your supply chain, a system that will look at your financials, your accounts payables, your accounts receivables, your customer, your fixed assets, your bank, and also get a system that will also look at it from your people point of view as well as the customer base. And this 360 view will give you a data. That is where we talk about business intelligence, where you'll be able to analyze that information to know that, okay, for this customer segmentation, these are my premium customers. They normally work within this time. These employees are also going to work with this time when the revenue is in, when the demand is high, they're also going to work. And within this period of the year, maybe between January and February, I don't need them. I can let all of them go on leave. And my peak period is going to be, let's say, June to August. Then I know that to June to August, I need my people to come, and this is going to happen at the back of the information that you've generated. And that is what, in the technology space, we call the single source of truth. At every point in time T, you're able to see the health of the business, the organization, and you can tell whether you want to take this decision based on this. Because what is the point if I give Frank leave at the time that Frank is my only specialist and the business is actually calling and Frank is on leave? Why won't I leverage on these systems, information systems, to tell Frank that, Frank, you have to go on leave now because the market is going to be in this wave. Therefore, during this period, you cannot take your paid vacation leave. So this is some of the things that organizations might have to look at in terms of putting in an information system that will look at a 360 view of the organization. One thing that we may also have to realize is that top-level organizations must not be too quick to jump into already made solution. They should sit back, map their logical processes. It should be logical. It shouldn't be pick and choose. Exceptions may be given, but at least let's have a logical defined processes where otherwise we know how we are going to go about it. If not, we position a solution and the solution is not working, not because it's not good, but it's not working because we have too many exceptions. Alternatively, we may also have a people orientation, the mindset of the people. We have to look at how best we can look at the people, develop them to appreciate the new change that we intend to do. And the approach to kick starts is different from the approach to look at sustainability. So the kickstart is where, from a consultant point of view, Jacob, the consultant hat now, I will look at it from the point whereby after we predefine the requirements, we start from the bottom. They know better. Then we take it back to the top level to shape it because they also understand where they want the organization to go in terms of growth. When it is done and it's being reformed and it's been accepted by all parties or stakeholders, now we can run with it. Anybody who decides to fall short or be some sort of a recalcitrant in this conversation, we then use the policy to whip them in line. Jacob,
that's very interesting. We are going to come back to that discussion on stakeholders. But I am curious about all these solutions or suggestions that you have proffered. If an organization wants to roll out all these things, and would you be kind enough within 30 seconds to provide some sort of sequence and prioritization within the next 30 seconds?
Okay, so the next, what we can do is that first of all, you have to predefine the task, what you want to achieve, okay? Then you look at the possible technology that will be able to help you to achieve this particular predefined set of sequences. Then you also look at how agile the system is in terms of future customizations or any enhancements. Then you come back and look at how how easy do you have consultants or you have internal resource in terms of training and capacity building to be able to look at the sustainability of the technology. Then finally, you do the sensitization and stakeholder engagements.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jacob. Viewers, we take a short commercial break and some message from our sponsors. Thank you for sticking and staying with us. See you shortly.